It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Lipscomb's assistant women's golf coach, Shannon O'Brien. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Brandon, for having me.
That's good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college women's golf?
Yes, it's it's funny because it really only came about in the last year and a half, but I really have a heart for people, and my role within Lipscomb is also spiritual formation for our female athletes, which is the privilege to get to walk along and talk and encourage student athletes in their journey of life. And so one of the people I've been journeying with is Jessie Lawley, the head coach. And about a year ago, she had presented to me the opportunity to consider what it would look like to transition from coaching soccer to coaching golf. And in that journey, really what I realized is it boiled down to my heart, which is to get to walk along and encourage people in their journey of life. And in the sport of golf, there's not many opportunities to get to do that any better than on a golf course. And so it made it to be a pretty easy yes when I realized my yes filtered through spiritual formation really could be done on a golf course just as easily as it could be sitting in my office or sitting at a Starbucks or the well having a coffee with a student across the table from me.
What was your playing time like at Arizona?
What was my playing time like? Like the experience or my actual minutes?
Your experience.
It was awesome. I came in as the backup keeper my freshman year. My sophomore year, I battled into split time. And then my junior year and senior year won out the starting spot. And truly to be an Arizona Wildcat, one I definitely would say is an honor and a privilege. It's hard. Like it's, Pac-12 soccer and, you're grinding it out. It's an intense conference of talent. And so my time there at Arizona was kind of twofold. I had the opportunity to be plugged into their art program. I was a graphic design major, and they had an excellent program. And then with that, on the athletics side, we were sponsored by Nike. And so I actually got an opportunity to be a design intern for Nike while I was there through those two connections. And so I can look back in hindsight and see while soccer was the conduit that brought me to Arizona and helped develop me, there was a lot of gifts in getting to be a student athlete there that afforded me other opportunities in my career development that were really significant.
What was that moment like of obviously working with Nike and designing stuff?
Oh, it was super sweet. I went there and was blown away. I remember sitting in my little cubicle thinking like, I can't believe my job right now is to come sit in the Mia Hamm building amongst all these incredible designers and draw, sketch, come up with ideas. And this assignment, if you will, that they gave me was to come up with a new reflective running vest, which doesn't sound like a super exciting product, but to me it was. And I remember being really humbled that I was like, I get to do this. I get to not only play soccer here in Portland, but also get to intern for Nike and learn from the best of the best. And it really blew me away. And from a faith lens for me, I was just really humbled that I could do that there, that God would let me do that there.
Of course, coming out of Arizona, what was it like getting into going to training camp and obviously trying out for the New Jersey Sky Blue?
Yeah, so New Jersey Sky Blue, that was only about 6 years ago. And that was one of those scenarios where I was now a mom and a wife. My kids were older, and I honestly thought my soccer career was done. But in 2014, I got to play for the Nashville Wolves. And then found myself for the first time in my career to be relevant, where there was an actual professional league that was active, and I was in a position where I could go for it. In the years prior, the pro league had folded 2 or 3 times, and the timing just never played out for me where it was a viable full option. And so I showed up to the first day, and I remembered seeing 2 moms doing a boot camp workout. They were about my age. I was 35. And I was chuckling because I'm like, I am sitting with a bunch of 20 somethings, and I should be over there working out with those moms, but I get to do this opportunity with Sky Blue. And it really helped me just kind of have a moment of kind of having like just a healthy heart check of like, what am I doing, God? Like, you've again opened a door for me to be here, and I'm just blown away that I get to do this. So I entered that week of training with just a lot of joy and a lot of gratitude, and just wanted to make the most of the opportunity, and truly just be an encourager even to the girls who I was getting to play alongside, because I recognize like that I felt like the rookie, that movie, The Rookie, where I'm 35 trying out for this pro team, and I'm easily 10, 15 years older than most of these girls. So it was cool.
Of course, how was it like going to Nashville Wolves and then obviously going to the Charlotte Lady Eagles to play professionally?
Yeah, it was actually the opposite. So I went from the Charlotte Eagles to Nashville. Um, so the Charlotte Eagles is the W League. That league is just being resurrected. It's the USL Women's tier that's right below the NWSL. But at the time, the W League was the only league, and it was just a really sweet community. The Charlotte Eagles is owned by Missionary Athletes International. We played for multiple national championships. We won a couple, but their heart is to help develop sports ministers. Like, the whole heart of their team is to help develop you, and it's a spiritual formation process of being trained in sports ministry, using sport as a platform to share the gospel while also competing at the highest standard. And so this notion of both and, that you could be both a Christ follower and an elite competitor, was really cultivated in me, which is a lot of the root of even why I do what I do now. But to go from there to then come to Nashville, I thought I was done when I left Charlotte. I thought I was done playing. I had laid soccer down and thought, okay, God, I had my run. And so I was coaching a club team here, and the coach who was with me basically was like, they need a goalkeeper. You should go for the Nashville Wolves. And I kind of just signed up on a whim of like, hey, I'll go this weekend. And it just turned into becoming my summer plans that year, which was the summer of 2014. And I definitely think my time in Charlotte helped develop me for my time in Nashville, which then helped develop me for my time with Sky Blue, which was the spring of 2015.
Of course, after your professional career, what was it like getting into college coaching?
Gosh, you know what? It was so not my plan. I had left University of Arizona, came out to play for the Charlotte Eagles. And at the time, I was actually invited to go back and work for Nike. I could have graduated from Arizona and had lined up going back to Nike, which a lot of people thought I was nuts to turn down Nike to go play soccer in North Carolina. But what was cool, Nike totally supported, endorsed, and they're like, this is what we're about. We're all about play. Like, just do it, you know? And so for me, when I left and went and played, I also had started working for an architect, and I was their graphic designer. And so I was really gung ho to be a full-time designer, and just soccer was going to be my part-time gig. And that's what I did for a little while. But being married to my husband, who is a full-time coach, as we started to have a family and the schedule started to adapt, I had gotten into club coaching, and that schedule really allowed for me to be a full-time mom and then a part-time coach. And through the years of doing that, I just really realized I had a heart for people, and coaching is a really privileged position to get to impact people. And that's what I realized I wanted to do.
What was it like going back to your alma mater to become the goalkeeper coach?
Yeah. Well, that was unique because I was still finishing my undergraduate degree. And so I had tried to get a redshirt year of eligibility. I'd gotten an injury my freshman spring, and we just didn't file the paperwork in time. And so my college coach permitted me to stay on staff with them my 5th year fall. And I got to travel with them. I got to, kind of peel back the curtain and see the coaching side of things. And I'll be honest, like I learned a ton from them. I really looked up to my goalkeeper coach. He had taught me a ton, and he and his wife were really influential in my journey. And to get to do that at that standard, to be honest, I was really naive. I didn't realize how special that was until later. Um, but I can still remember one of the days we were at Stanford, and I was on the sideline coaching with the staff, and I'm just sitting, amongst them. My role was kind of the liaison mentor between the coaching staff and the players. And I just was really blown away of like, dang, like I get to do this, like just this moment of gratitude. So I'm incredibly thankful and really have a heart for Arizona athletics. They treated me very well, and I'm really thankful for the time I had there.
Of course, what was that like transitioning from leaving your alma mater to getting your first assistant coaching job?
Yeah, so a lot of life had transitioned in between, but I again was just so gung ho on playing and being a designer that when the coaching opportunity, technically, I guess it would have been Pfeiffer who asked me first, outside of club coaching and outside of the Charlotte Eagles, it was really kind of like one of those moments where it was like, oh, I didn't even think about this being a career path, but it totally could be. And so for me, when one of the girls who had asked me to help her coach, her name was Sarah Denton, and her husband Elijah Denton, they were the full-time staff for the Pfeiffer Falcons. And so my role was to be the keeper coach. And my daughter was only like 14, 15 months old. She was toddling around, during practices on the field. It was a pretty big field, and I could still see her as I was coaching. And so it really provided a sweet spot for me to just get to be an encourager to the players, but then also to be a mom. And so the difference of going from Arizona to Pfeiffer was Division I Power 5 to a Division II. And honestly, the biggest difference is going to be your budget and the operating costs that it still takes. And so I was really, really, probably for the first time, had my eyes open to the business side, but also just, I think that's when I realized, like, oh my gosh, we had so much at Arizona that I didn't even realize. Like, it's almost like a child who realizes they came from a wealthy home and they didn't realize it until they were on their own and had to pay for things. And so I really recognized, like, wow, like I had a lot given to me at Arizona, and Pfeiffer was awesome, but we had to fundraise a lot to be able to have operation of the team. And that year, the girls were really gung ho. They were dead set on winning the conference championship. And I remember the seniors, we had all gotten together for a week, kind of like team bonding, or captain bonding space. And they just had such clarity on what they wanted to do. And what was humbling and really inspiring for me was going from this Power 5 program to this Division II program. Like, I'm doing this, it's not one's higher than the other, but in our culture, people elevate it that way. And what I really realized was, like, we're all on the same playing field. Like, we're all striving to make the most of our opportunities. And I had such inspiration from that group of girls at Pfeiffer because they made the most of their opportunity. And it didn't matter how wealthy the program was. Like, they just made the most of what they had, and it just was inspiring to me. I was really thankful that I had the privilege to get to walk with them that year.
Of course, how was it like going to UNC Charlotte after Pfeiffer and returning back to the Charlotte area where you played professionally?
It was really sweet for me. My husband actually had just been coaching at UNC Charlotte, so I was very familiar with the 49er territory. Sarah Denton was asked to follow from Pfeiffer to Charlotte, and that's how I got the invitation to come as the keeper coach. And John Colin, who's still at Charlotte, was the head coach. And it was just a really neat privilege for me to get to step, out of this little school into kind of, coming home, if you will. The commute was a lot closer for my mom life. And again, what God for me personally was really showing me that people are people, and it does not matter if you're coaching club soccer, professional soccer, the Olympics, Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, NAIA, whatever the level per se is. People are people. And I just was really excited to get to walk alongside and encourage the student athletes that were on that team, and the keepers, specifically for the role I had. It was just really neat to get to encourage them with what I had learned and to offer them some nuggets, if you will, of some things that worked for me, and to encourage them and who they were becoming.
Of course, while you were at Charlotte, what was it like, obviously, teaching the athletes there that obviously there's a professional team right in their backyard?
Yeah, what's cool is one of the girls who was on that UNC Charlotte squad that year is now the head coach of the Charlotte Eagles. And what I didn't realize at the time was my influence and encouragement to her. She shared this later, but she's amazing. Her name's Sam Hope. She's absolutely just this awesome girl, and her heart for people is similar, but like she just really cares about her players. And so I can look back, and I didn't know it at the time, but my encouragement to her and inviting her to the team, to come out, it was about, let's see, I think it was 2 years later, we ended up being in Germany playing on the same field together, and we became teammates. So one of the girls who I was coaching was now my teammate, and we were playing in Germany on an international tour. And now she's the coach of that team that I had left being a part of. And it's just really sweet to see how that can happen, like helping the next person climb that ladder is important to me. And it was really, really sweet. And it's so encouraging now to know that she's influencing these players in really amazing ways.
Of course, what was it like when you first came to Lipscomb with your husband and obviously joined the soccer team and then eventually became a women's golf coach?
Yeah. So when we took the job, I say my husband took the job. That is what brought us to Lipscomb. It was an opportunity where it was really cool being his wife to witness his journey as a coach. He went from coaching at Power Fives, coming back to play for the Charlotte Eagles. Very similar. People were like, he was at Oregon State, and he left to come back to Charlotte to play. And I was at Beaverton, Oregon, up in Portland, playing and working at Nike. And similarly, people are like, what are you doing going to Charlotte? And at that time, neither one of us knew each other. And so it's kind of fun in hindsight to see the step of faith to leave what made so much sense in a worldly culture, but what we were feeling called to do from a faith lens, and continue to step out into an arena that maybe wasn't as recognized, if you will. So to see his journey and how he felt compelled to take this job at Lipscomb was really special. And so when we came, basically one of the ADs said, man, we really need a female who can kind of just be a liaison, kind of a mentor, kind of a life coach to these student athletes. And so he's like, what would you make of that? And I was like, I don't know, but that sounds right up my alley. I'd love it. And so about 6 months after we had come to Lipscomb, I found myself in the director of spiritual formation for our female athletes. And really what that is walking, encouraging, mentoring, listening, being a sounding board. And so for me, that's what coaching always has been, is to be that mentor, sounding board, encourager, helping them on their journey. And so when I got to do that as the goalkeeper coach here with my husband, it was just really sweet. It was something I never thought would happen. I never thought he'd coach on the women's side to begin with. So when that was a reality, and now I got to be on staff with him, it was just a really neat kind of special opportunity that honestly felt like a no-brainer, but it was something we'd never thought of until it was time.
Of course, how is the transition like from going from soccer to what you were always known to to then go into golf?
Yeah, great question. So again, for me, the coaching piece is just walking along with the student athletes and encouraging them. It's been incredibly humbling because I can step into a goal and show the younger keepers like what I would like model what I'd like them to do on the field and give a demonstration. In golf, most of the girls will give a better demo than I will, and to their credit. And so it's been really humbling where I'm not able to do it exactly as per, at the professional standard as I'd like all the time, if at all. And what what I feel like God kind of whispered to me, I mean, if I can even say it like that, that not literal but figurative, um, was this encouragement of like, I didn't call you to play on the team. I've called you to encourage the team. And so it's been a really healthy, humbling, reframing, a heart check of like, why am I doing this? And my why is every single girl on this team. My why is to walk along, encourage them, help them in their journey of life. And again, the platform is the golf team, the conduit is the sport of golf. But my heart is to help them grow in who they are and help them become the people they want to be, both on the course and off the course.
Of course, what are some of the things that you've accomplished while on the course?
Yeah, so this team, it's been so fun to celebrate them. We've had a few record-breaking performances. We've currently gotten to our highest ranking in NCAA golf, which is currently 114. That's on the upper third of Division I golf. Our team goal, we want to break into that top 100 sooner before later. I genuinely believe this squad can do it. I've seen girls, gosh, they shot 7 under, which is the lowest team score they've had in an event. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, there's been a lot of little things along the way that are just really cool victories. And I've just really, more importantly, just seen a growth in them as people where they recognize like, man, like golf matters, but what matters more is their heart and their character, and the whole team name character being of significant importance to them, which is just really sweet that they care to reflect well as people first and golfers second.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've helped build with Coach Jesse?
Yeah, so Jesse's a lot of fun. I've had the privilege not only to be her friend, but to be in a mentor role with her for the last few years. And so she's been able to witness the journey of what my husband had cultivated with our women's soccer program. And so truly it's this notion of being both and, meaning you can be both Christ-centered and have a faith-centric program while also being excellent, like pursuing excellence. You don't have to have one for the other. And so our heart is to cultivate a Christ-centered program that is seeking to be excellent in all that they do, the classroom, on the golf course, in their life. But in that, there's all like full grace, like grace and truth, as Jesus names, like come in grace and truth. And so, there's healthy accountability. There is, a listening ear to help them know, like, hey, we see you, you matter. Life is bigger than just what is happening on the golf course, and really trying to encourage them and being seen and known for who they are and not just for what they do.
Of course, what does a typical golf meet look like?
Yeah, that's, this is where I learned a lot. So a lot of people don't realize that a typical day for a golf tournament is 36 holes on Monday and then 18 holes on Tuesday. Now, some events are 18 holes on Monday, 18 holes on Tuesday, and then 18 holes on Wednesday. But for us, a 36-hole day starts at 5:30 in the morning. We're at the golf course typically by sun up, like we are breaking dawn on the driving range. And they will play all 36 holes if daylight permits. So they are literally on the course. Like a couple weeks ago, we teed off at 7:30 a.m. and we did not get off the course until I think it was like 6 p.m. because it was getting dark. And then we had team dinner, post, wrap up, and then we're back to the hotel or the space where we're staying, wherever that is. And so these girls are literally doing a 12-hour competition day. They are literally playing golf for 9 to 10 hours straight. When we make the turn, they play 18 holes. That's round one. They're literally getting their lunch on the course, and they are pushing their golf cart or riding in the golf cart, depending on, what the tournament has provided. And they are eating a sandwich, biting an apple, snacking on gummies as they're pushing their cart up the fairway. Like, they don't stop. And so I've been so blown away and just have such admiration. Like, they've got to grind. I mean, can you imagine a basketball game being 10 hours long, or a soccer game being 6 hours long? Like, that would be crazy. But that's what these girls are doing. They are competing for 10 hours straight on a Monday. And then they got to get up and do the same thing again for another 5 to 6 hours the very next day. And it's, I think it's more tiring than people realize. It sounds a lot. I think people think, oh, you're going to, Charleston, and you're playing these beautiful courses, and, oh, the country club life, but these girls are grinding. Like, they are competing, and they are really enduring. Not only a long day, but that 2 weeks ago, we were in 40, feels like 45 with rain and wind for 10 hours. And it was brutal. Like, it was brutal for me to watch them, but I had like it was brutal for them. Like, they've got to be able to swing a club, so they can't have all the puffy coats on that you would if you went skiing. Like, they're freezing, but they are grinding. And I have such admiration for what they do. And they are legit athletes. If anybody says otherwise, I would say you don't know what you're talking about. They are awesome.
Of course, what does the recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play college golf and endure those 12-hour days?
Yeah, so the recruiting, I'm sorry, are you asking me specifically for what the recruiting is like, or what we're looking for?
What does the recruitment process look like?
Okay, great question. So a lot of it is we are watching their scoring averages. We're paying attention. So again, for us, it's the both and. Are they an elite golfer? And are they going to be interested in what Lipscomb University has to offer, which is this faith-centered piece of their education and their experience while in college? And so we have a letter that we've written that's called the Who We Are Statement. And so we name 5 things that are critical to our program and who we are. That is, we are in Nashville, Tennessee, which is an awesome city. We are a Christ-centered college. Your experience at Lipscomb, you're going to be seen and known first for who you are, not for just what you do. Additionally, we are a program who is seeking to be that both and. We are seeking to be excellent. Additionally, we are an academically high school. Like, we want students who want to be great students. Our team had the second highest GPA of all the athletic programs here. The girls were, I think it was a 3.801 or something along those lines. We had 4 girls who had 4.0s, and all of them are studying something that, it's not like basket weaving. It's like biology or microbiology, and a master's in Christian ministry. Like, they're girls who are studying life-changing platforms. And then additionally, that 5th thing is fun. We want to have fun. We want girls who know we're pursuing excellence, who know they're going to be seen and known and cared for, that grace will be extended, but we're also going to be accountable. And in all of that, we want there to be a lot of fun and a lot of smiles and a lot of joy and laughter. Because if we're not having fun, like, the whole point is the journey. It's not just the results that we gain. And I've been a part of enough teams to know that if you're not having fun, you're probably not going to have a lot of success. And it's pretty life draining when it's not fun. So that's part of the recruitment, is helping them know who we are. And then from there, do they want to be in on that? And if they feel like they're a good fit for us, then the conversation continues. They might come out to have an unofficial visit or an official visit, depending on the timeline of their recruiting window, how old they are. We will go watch them play in tournaments. They will send us video clips and we'll evaluate their swing. We'll look at, just the different credentials. We will talk to their swing coach. We will talk to the different people who are coaching them. And then we'll do Zoom calls because that's the way of life these days, right? And so we get to know them. And we also, additionally, this is kind of new, but we're doing ID camps. It's something we did on the soccer side for years, and we had a lot of success. Over 75% of the women's soccer team has been verified through an ID camp. And so we'll identify these students out at a tournament or an event, and then we invite them to come to these ID camps. Now, not all programs utilize the ID camp as effectively as they might want to or could, but for us, they're critical. And so for golf, we have ID camps, it's about one a month, give or take 6 to 8 months out of the year. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 in the summer. And that has really helped us. It's a space, it's kind of a loophole in the NCAA system where you can have kids on your campus who are not yet of age. Because it's a camp, you can talk to them, you can interact with them, you can give them coaching tips. They get to know you as a coach. They get to taste and feel what the program is like. And it really helps to just expose them to, again, who we are, and then also exposes us to who they are. And we've just found it to be a really neat sweet spot.
Of course, when those prospective student athletes are on the official visit, what is that like, obviously seeing them on the visit, seeing and admiring the campus and the courses that you'll be playing at?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Again, that's where maybe part of that fifth one comes in, is we get to celebrate them. We get to introduce them to, it's like when you have a friend visit for the first time and you're excited to have that friend meet your family, and, they get to see the inside personality and, kind of hear some jokes and laugh with you. It's always fun to see the students engage on our campus. We have a beautiful campus. Again, being a mid-major school doesn't mean mid-major anything other than maybe the size. And so, for us, we just gain a lot of joy in getting to interact with the students and show them what we're about, depending on the timeline. And there's some different rules in the NCAA. So if they're on an official visit, we get to take them and treat them to things. If they're on an unofficial visit, we get to interact with them, but basically the visit is on their terms instead of our terms. And we, either way, treat all the students the same. It doesn't matter if they're unofficial or an unofficial, but there's just some different parameters of what we're allowed to do between those from an NCAA compliance point of view.
What advice would you give future college golfers looking to get into college golfing?
Yeah, gosh, I would say first and foremost, your worth is not determined by your score. I think so many of us wrestle as student athletes, as athletes from a young age. We are, really trained to find our worth in our performance. And so golf is such a mental sport, and being a goalkeeper, that's actually a parallel. There's so much mental pressure we put on ourselves and so much mental stamina necessary to maintain your concentration. And so I think it can get really disheartening and really discouraging when we have bad holes, bad games, bad moments. And I would just encourage them to keep going, that one bad score, that multiple set of bad scores does not necessarily determine your future. We're paying attention to how they rebound. I would encourage them to be intentional, email the coaches, call the coaches if you're allowed to call. Actually, all student athletes are allowed to call the coaches. Not all student athletes were allowed to call until a certain age. There's some NCAA rules. And so I would just encourage, be intentional, be really intentional on your interest. Do your homework, don't pick a college just for the coach or just for the team. Really pick a college because it's the right fit for your education and what you want to do post-college. I would encourage, entering the events, even if you feel like it's going to be hard, it could be worth it. Your scoring average is a piece of the puzzle. And so if you're an average 84 as a freshman or an 80 or a 76, keep working. Most women's college events are from a 6,000 yard distance, and most junior events are less yardage. They're closer to 5,000 or so. And so be intentional at doing some of the 6,000 yard distances and see what your score is, because that will parallel differently. But all in all, just be really intentional. Be intentional with your intent, what you want, why you want it, and don't be afraid to reach out to the coaches, because that can be really helpful for us, because there's so many rules that restrict us. It's really helpful when we know where our students at.
What advice would you give those future college golfers looking to go into the professional route where they will play with the LPGA?
Yeah, so a lot of that is going to be determined on how you do in your collegiate field. What's amazing about golf is you get kind of the option to pick if you want to go pro or stay amateur. Like, there's a little bit of an option in that. A lot of student athletes who finish, are at a professional standard, but they choose not to go pro because they want to continue with the amateur status. There's some benefits to maintaining the amateur status, as well as there's some benefits to, going pro. A lot of it is going to have to do with your want to. Like, we all will say we want to, and there's a Bible verse for me that's a life verse, but it says God's working in you so that you will want to do and be able to do the things that please him. And going pro isn't necessarily what, is going to please him. It might please you. But to realize, again, your worth is not in becoming that professional. Your worth is in who you are as a person. And, to go pro, it takes a lot of grinding, a lot of hours. I think there's a glamorous perception of like, oh, I get to go pro and travel and do, but you're living out of a suitcase a lot of the time. It can be really sweet. It can be really fun, but if you might be able to, but if you don't want to, it's not going to be a lot of fun. And you might really want to, but you may not be able to. And my encouragement would be to keep playing. Like, if you can't go pro right away, keep playing, keep entering the amateur events, keep playing at all the different places you can play, because that will develop you over time. And if my career is any testament to that, I was really fortunate that I got to keep playing. And it wasn't until I was 35 that the NWSL, one, was active and alive and real, and then two, I was actually relevant to get to do it. And so just by keep going at it, keep playing, keep getting involved, be willing to take chances, be willing to fail, and then be willing to get back up when you do, and to dust the dirt off and say, I can do this. And eventually you'll get to a place where your want to may not want to anymore. And that's okay. You're still an awesome person if it doesn't come to fruition.
What advice would you give those coaches such as yourself that transition from coaching college soccer to obviously coaching a different sport?
Yeah, so I've been really encouraged. I'm really intentional at trying to connect with other coaches. And I had the privilege to be at Arizona when Greg Allen was at Arizona, and he's now Vanderbilt's golf coach. And he just was inducted to the Women's Golf College Hall of Fame. Like, he's awesome. And he recently shared with me he didn't play college golf, which encouraged me, because I was like, oh, I'm not the only one. There's a couple other coaches I've met along the way who also weren't college golfers. I believe it's Mick at Alabama. He also did soccer and golf. And what I've really realized is coaching is coaching. Coaching people is what we're doing. Like, my heart is to coach the human first, and in that help develop them in their sport as they desire. And so my advice is, see the person. Don't just see the athlete for what they can do for you, but genuinely see the person in front of you and encourage them in what they can do for themselves and for the team. I think the timing of me going from soccer to golf at the age of 41 years old, it really, what I'm so thankful for is it's not about me. Like, the results of the team are not about me. And I can tell you, the 20-something-year-old Shannon, who is a head coach in North Carolina, I coached a high school team, and even the assistant coach at a college. Because I cared so deeply, I could get worked up if the player wasn't performing to the standard and feel like it was my fault. I still take ownership of the players and want to encourage them. But at the end of the day, like, they are a fellow human striving to do the best they can do. And while I want to pursue excellence and I want to win, I want our team to be successful, it's not for my sake. Like, my heart genuinely is for them. And so my advice to coaches would be, wherever you're coaching, whatever level you're coaching, seek to see the human in front of you and not what they can do for you, but what they can do for themselves and for their teammates. There's so much more joy in that. And it's so much more freeing to let them just play and not get worked up over what they aren't doing as for your own ego. Like, let it be about them.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the women's golf program at?
Yeah, so our Lipscomb Women's Golf Instagram is at Lipscomb WGOLF, which stands for Women's Golf, Lipscomb WGOLF. That's also our Twitter. And then personally, mine is at the OB Squad. I can't remember if the word "the" is in there, but it's OB_squad. And usually I'm tagged in something on one of the women's golf things, so you can find me through that. And then I'm also on Twitter.
Thank you again, Coach Shannon O'Brien, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Grateful for you. Best wishes in your career as well.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Shannon, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.